Happening, Moses Lake. Welcome to the Rixican Show, your multicultural friend. People ask me that. Somebody's like, is that racist? Whatever. And I was like, I lived in Costa Rica for a number of years and I've spent some time in China. And I don't know, for some reason, I just have some unique perspectives. So it's not.
It's funny. People want to make it racist, and they'll give me a look and they'll say, "What do you mean by Mexican?" And I'll go, "It's like American, not Mexican." And they go, "Oh," and then they'll smile because they're thinking I'm going to say another race. I say not American but Mexican.
Yeah. It started because I made this dish. It was jasmine. It's basically our Baja bowls we have now.
Yes.
Jasmine rice, black beans, carne asada, romaine lettuce, and then you get the special sauce, the tomatillo sauce we put on it.
Tomatillo ranch, yeah.
Yeah, and so somebody was like, "I want that Mexican rice." I go, "That's a clever name," and so I kind of ran with it, and that's kind of how it started.
And then we got a beautiful logo like we do behind you.
Yeah.
And a really cool intro, and here we are.
So I love it, hate it. Oh well, here we are.
So you finished a tile job, and now you're doing a siding job?
Yeah, so I just finished a siding job. The guy was getting ready to paint his house, and his dog had like chewed the LP.
Oh, that's right.
It's like
yeah.
a wood siding, and then there was some, water rot in some places where it was too touching like the concrete and it rotted. So we went around and
Did you have to replace any paneling at all?
like the plywood panel
Yeah.
behind it? No, the plywood was good, just the outside. But anyway, we were just wrapping it up, and I was like, I got to get to the podcast. But the homeowner came by and was checking the work. He's like, "You got to keep those guys; they're amazing." And I was like, "Well, good. I'm glad you like my workers."
It's weird. Usually only hear that when I'm there.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, Brothers Automotive, if you're having issues with your vehicle, Brothers Automotive is the lowest priced automotive in the Moses Lake and surrounding area. Most shops are anywhere from $130 to $230 per hour. Brothers Automotive is only $100 an hour. Brothers Automotive will service everything on your vehicle from bumper to bumper, including engine swaps, brakes, front end work, you name it. And one of my favorite things, and Rick's as well too, is that we've used a service before where they come pick up my vehicle and drop it off when they're done, so I can continue on doing whatever I'm doing throughout the day. So give them a call today. Brothers Automotive, 761-9744. Again, Brothers Automotive, 761-9744. No job too big, no job too small. Brothers Automotive, 761-9744.
Yeah, in fact, he's working on a deal for me right now.
Oh, that's right, that Ranger there.
Yeah, little Ranger. I was like, this might be a good little car for my son. He's 18, right? Little truck. He helps me recycle the aluminum cans. Have Rick's in the back, and I was like, truck, he can go on his own. I don't have to carpool him around.
Oh, heck yeah, that works good. It's a nice little truck. It needs
possibly some injectors and some stuff.
Power steering pump.
So, yeah, we're working on getting that deal closed.
And that price, it's usually probably about double that at any other shop. So, and you get a little break because you're Rick.
Of course, better.
All the advertisement.
Free 99 for me, right?
Not that cheap.
I can always ask, right? Well, very good. So we have Doug Coutts with us, Moses Lake Park and Recreation and Cultural Services. Yeah. And since Moses Lake has been in the spotlight with the budget and so forth, we're going to give Doug a black eye.
Why not?
Why not?
Let's do it.
Everyone's done this, right? And geeked up on you. So what's going on with the budget crisis from your perspective? Because it seems like Park and Recreation is like the hot spot to make the biggest cuts in the city right now.
It's in what I'm seeing, it's a systemic problem with local government. Our revenues do not keep pace with the expenses. I mean, everybody knows this in your household, right? You're looking at your household budget right now, and expenses are skyrocketing. And then you're looking at what you make each day and what you bring home. It's hard to make ends meet. The city's in the same boat. We have a fixed income. We know what we're getting. We get, property tax money. We get sales tax money. And we know about what that's going to be. But we also can look forward, and we're projecting in the future. There is no immediate hey, we're going to go bankrupt tomorrow. That's not happening. What we're doing is looking ahead and being responsible. So the city is looking at what are the things we have to do versus what are the things is great to do. And there's a lot of great stuff that this city does that we're going to have to look for a different way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
So is anything shutting down? Is the park and the Larson Rec Center, the museum, is that shutting down anytime soon?
That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about shutting anything down. What we're talking about is transitioning things to a new method of funding or a new method of operation. So looking at transitioning some facilities to be run by nonprofits and getting the dollars on that off of the tax dollars and into nonprofit funding.
Very good. Yeah, because just my vibe. I've sat in some meetings with people, and they were very concerned about different things closing down, and it was like there's a budget crisis. The city's brought out a guillotine, and they're just gonna, And it's good to hear from somebody on the inside to be like, no, it's not shutting down. But if we don't make any changes in 4 or 5 years, we'll be upside down 8 million. Let's get our hands on it now. And a lot of the decisions is a process, right? Like to bring in a nonprofit, it's not like if one volunteered to do it, it's not like a slam dunk deal. It takes like a year for them to work out negotiations.
Multiple years. Yeah, I think what we're looking at is 2029 as a target date for implementation on some of the transitions. And we're now we've gotten to last council meeting was here's what we think you should do, and here's where we think we are going with this.
Yeah.
We're now in the how. Let's talk with some organizations. Let's put requests for proposals out there and find out. First off, is there interest? Who's the interest from? And like you said, I mean, if Joe's nonprofit shows up and says, "Hey, we want to run Larson Rec Center," what experience do you have in doing that kind of thing? What's your background in that? Joe's nonprofit might not be the right fit for that, and we have to find something that's going to be sustainable long term. That's what we're looking at: is how can we fund these and keep them for the community long term?
Interesting. Yeah. I have a lot of ideas, right? And just because I have an idea doesn't mean it works for the city.
Right.
Or even if it was a great idea, the city's like, we love it. There's red tape. You guys have to follow red tape too.
We don't get exempt from the law or rules or anything like that.
Yeah.
We don't get exemptions. We have to do it the way and as a matter of fact, as a local unit of government, we have stringent rules that we have to follow. Like, I mean, your contractors, you probably understand this, right? We have to pay prevailing wage. We have to. We're required to. When we bid out a project, we have to pay the prevailing wage rates. We can't hire guys that are and say, hey, could you do it lower if we pay you cash? We're not allowed to do that. We can't. So we have to take the lowest responsible bidder, but everybody has to commit to paying that prevailing wage. So we're subject to stringent requirements in every project we do and how we do things. We have to follow those rules.
Yeah. I mean, as a contractor, there's things that throw us for a loophole. One of is the energy credits.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
And not a loophole, you mean a loop.
A loop. Yeah. Yeah, they've redesigned the tracker. It's like, and sometimes I'll get confused with it, and then we'll hire somebody to do the energy credits. Like, isn't it weird that contractors are hiring out someone just to interpret or run through the little Excel spreadsheet or check a box to hopefully save money? I mean, Hayden Homes has to hire someone to handle that too. They go, because if you just check the box, you're going to have to wrap your whole house with like an inch of foam, and if you can find different ways to allocate those credits, you can save money. But I'm just saying the city's not exempt from red tape, even though in your own household, you can make a decision and it might work. Then you get into business and then there's more red tape. Anyway, the whole point is you guys have rules to follow too, and it's not just
everybody has to follow rules, and we're no different at the city. We've got to follow certain rules and regulations, and all of those things apply.
Yeah, you guys have to. Yeah, So if you were going to build something, you still have to file for a permit and run it through the city.
Correct.
And they're like, Doug, you can't do that.
Yeah. You have to file for the permit. You have to have it designed to a certain standard. It has to meet, certain,
Yeah.
levels of quality. We can't just go throw up a temporary building and go, hey, we're going to build this way. It's got to be designed to a standard.
Interesting. So I'm getting some good rumors or sources that you're going to redesign Sineku Square.
Sinkayu.
Sinkayu Square.
Sink and Swim Square. Sinkayu.
We're not going to rename it, but no, yeah, it is. We do have a agreement, and I'm not sure where it is in the process right now. But we've gone through the request for qualifications process with an architect and landscape architect to come in and give us a new plan for the downtown, which includes a redesign of the Sinkayu Square Plaza. And the goal is to make it more inviting and welcoming to downtown and make it more functional. It works for certain aspects right now, but I think it's underutilized, and I think it could be maximized in what it can do there. So it is part of that. It's also going to look at the Civic Center campus with the Civic Hall, City Hall, and the Civic Park, and what could that potentially be. So a lot of different things happening there, looking to really activate and invigorate downtown a little bit more.
Interesting. So is more parking going to be included, or or you just ignore that question?
Yeah, I don't think more parking. Maybe looking at how our street is like it's more of a landscape design kind of thing. Like, what are our corners going to look like? Are they functional where they're at? Can we make them look better? We've got the juniper bushes in there that catch a lot of the trash that blows around, and we have to clean them out all the time. Is there a better landscape option there that looks better year round, and doesn't hold a bunch of trash in it that we have to then go back and clean up? And just ideas there, and it's a community process, right? We're going to be doing some outreach on that to talk to the community and get, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Get some feedback.
Yeah. Well, like we talked about before, the thing, I'm very pro landmark, and I recommended putting a giant French fry troll, because we're like the potato capital of the county in the world, I guess, or country or something. So I was thinking potato oriented, and there's people that visit these trolls all over the U.S. So I was like, make a landmark and bring people in. Now I don't know if that's feasible. I mean,
Rick, any idea coming forward, we'll throw it in the mix. We'll see if it fits. I think a lot of this is community driven. We need to hear from the community. Do I envision that with a French fry troll personally? No, but they don't always implement what the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services Director says.
Yeah. Is that ever frustrating? Because you kind of have a vision where you want to go, and then you have outside, powers that.
Not frustrating. No, I wouldn't say that's frustrating. I think, you as a city staff member, any city staff member, you suggest what you think is the best way to go. But when it comes down to it, you look at it and go, okay, well, the community wants this. Great, let's do that.
Yeah.
I think you have to take that tack. We're here. We serve the community.
Yeah.
The city council does, the city manager does, all the staff at the city. We serve the community. So we're responsible to, come in and say, hey, we think this idea is great. We think this idea has some problems with it. Here are the problems. But if you want to do the idea that has some problems, we figure out how to make the problems go away.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Interesting. So I think from my perspective, just from listening and going to city council meetings, it seemed like the big gorilla on this financial thing is the rec center. Is that a fair statement?
There's a lot of big gorillas with this financial thing, right? And what it comes down to is that whole. It's our general fund and our streets fund. Our other funds are generally, self-sustaining. They have to be. They're required to be the water and the sewer and all that. They're required to be wastewater and water required as utility funds to pay for their own costs. And they're rate based. So the people pay the rate based on how much it costs us to provide the service. It net zeros out. So our general fund and streets fund are the ones that are the biggest drain or the biggest cost based on what we're doing. And what we have to look at is and we did the whole exercise where we did core services that have to happen, basic services that are nice to happen, and generally we provide an enhanced services. And that's how it ranked out. So the biggest chunk coming out is probably for the rec center and transitioning that to a nonprofit. But we've also got the museum that's another large chunk, and the what was the other one we were talking about? Oh, the ice arena. That's another large chunk. So those are options that we're looking at transitioning to new operators, and finding that operator is the next portion of this process.
We got a comment here. I think they're talking about the sink and swim park. They said, turn it into a parking lot. That would get used. Just saying.
Okay.
So there you go. Right to the director himself. He's like,
So pave paradise and put up a parking lot is what you're saying?
that's what they're saying. More parking downtown, I think is probably what they're saying.
More parking downtown.
In our prior conversation, you talked about taking the theater there and moving it back so it can encompass more people.
So yeah, a lot of what we do there are big events. So Spring Fest has a lot of stuff down there. Brews and Tunes, the DMLA events are always down there. And generally, what I've seen happening is we're closing streets and putting the beer garden or whatever events on the street beside the plaza.
Yeah.
If we open up that plaza, just one big plaza, we take away the grass, we're now not having to water grass. Yeah. And then we look at options for how do we really lay this out so that we can use it for the purpose that it's being used for better. It's not the most eco-friendly or environmentally pleasing design to walk into on a plaza, but there's tons of piazzas in Italy that are beautiful and well done, and I think we could do something there that would be really nice that we could really use functionally for these events.
So in terms of water, does the Park and Recs have to pay for water being used?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a water bill. And we have the smart meters on pretty much a lot of those watering sites where we have irrigation, and we get the calls too, and hey, you got a leak, you got to fix it. And if we don't fix it, which we do every single time, our guys are running out there immediately to take a look at those leaks. If we don't fix it, we pay for it. We pay for it. We pay for the water. So yeah, our irrigation bill went up significantly. We're going to have to revamp that and look at that again as we go. But we're trying actively to get any of our bigger sites off of the potable water system and onto like a shallow well, so that we're not impacting the city's water that's drinking water, bathing water for watering grass.
Yeah. So I was down at the Lower Peninsula Park the other day, and I had to do a double take because there's that, what's it called? Heritage?
Yeah. Yeah, Heritage Garden.
Heritage Garden, and it's like a rockscape with some desert plants in there.
Low water plants, and it was done, I believe, done in partnership with the Columbia Basin Conservation District.
Yeah.
A demonstration garden.
A demonstration garden. Yeah, I was like, what? I went over there and looked at it, and I was like, this wasn't here. I guess you guys put it in the fall or something, August or something.
Yeah, I think it was last year.
Yeah. And I had to do a double take because I was like, I don't remember this being here. I just remembered all grass.
Yes.
So that was interesting to see.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see if more of that comes up.
Yeah, if people want to do that in their own yard, the Columbia Basin Conservation District will consult with them on taking out grass and putting in low water type heritage type gardens to reduce their water bill as well. I mean, it's a cost up front, but then you reduce your watering costs long term.
Yeah.
Before you got here, Rick, Doug and I were having a conversation about the community garden, and hoping you can kind of share with Rick some of the thoughts you had there.
Yeah, no, we're looking at that's part of that whole downtown and civic campus redesign, because it's literally right in front of Civic Center, campus, where the city hall is, where the police station is. And one of the things that we're talking about with that property is part of what we're looking at redesigning. And do those community garden plots really need to be in the downtown central core? Could we split them up and spread them out into all our pocket parks throughout neighborhoods and set them up so that instead of driving downtown to that site to tend your community garden, it's actually in your community and you can walk to it from your house and tend your garden from your house. You don't have to, if you need to pick tomatoes for dinner, you don't have to get in your car and drive down to the garden in city center. You can walk over to whichever park is closest to you, and that's where your garden is. You pick your tomatoes and walk home. So it's part of a whole concept that we're looking at as to what is this, should this truly be the function of this site?
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. How now the city garden thing used to be larger, right?
Correct. It used to be both sides of it.
And then you shrunk it down. Is it just less people are using it?
Less people were using it was my understanding. That happened before I got here 3 years ago. So yeah, they reduced it to one side before I got here. I don't know when, but it was less usage. It was a reduction in usage that caused that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess is there the perspective that if you did it more local to the people that it might increase a little bit or just provide that opportunity?
Just providing the opportunity. It also gives the local sites a little more activation, something else that's going on. And I mean, most of the sites have a playground and some green space, but if you add it in a garden, it gives another aspect of activation in those sites.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know a lot about them. When I was in the military, they had like a community garden. We got a little plot and we were messing around with that. And it was fun. It was a good experience. Having kids out there helping out. And I think there's some general maintenance that goes on all the time.
Yep.
With the people that are involved in that, pulling weeds and whatever.
Yeah,
never ends.
It never ends.
Never ends. And then you got to water it yourself. There are no timers or you have to manage those. Interesting. I think that's a good idea. Moving the garden from downtown there and using that as something else.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's a lot of additional value that could be in that particular property, rather than being the sole community garden for the city. Rather than having it one, we have multiples throughout the city. I think that makes geographic, traffic-wise, driving-wise, makes a little more sense.
I assume they're going to be fenced or something.
They would each have a fence around.
Yeah, try to limit people stealing tomatoes.
Correct. Yeah.
They're like, that's a nice tomato.
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't want a fresh grown tomato?
Well, I have my own garden at home. I have my own fresh tomatoes there. Well, not right now. It's time yet. But
interesting. Yeah. And you don't have any plans for that property yet. Just the concept, moving it.
Concept.
We got a fresh piece. What do we do?
The concept is that is a prime piece of real estate downtown. The community garden, in my mind, could be spread out and be more functional. So, what could we use that for? What is the prime function of that? I mean, what could it be?
Well, obviously, putting in a RIC center would be good.
Did you say a RIC center?
Is that too soon? Too much of a joke? Another RIC center would be great. Yeah, obviously. I mean,
I see too much of you, Rick.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone has had enough of me. Yeah, what did the police chief say? 50% of the time, Rick. I don't want to see more than that. Yeah. Oh, very good. Let's see. So there's what 50? I was just on this. There's 50 properties in Parks and Rec, and like 28, 30 are parks. Does that sound familiar?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Sounds about right. Flip a coin. Now there's one park on an island. You can only get to by boat.
Album Island, yes.
And I was like, that's interesting.
It is a primitive, unimproved park. So you could kayak out there, boat out there. There's no dock. There's nothing.
Can you camp on that island?
No.
Yeah. But who's going to stop you?
Nobody. but if you get stuck out there, you're on your own.
Yeah, on your own.
And there's no amenities. There's no running water. There's nothing there. So it's an island.
Yeah.
It's a primitive piece of property that we own. That I think there might be a sign there, and that's it.
Might I point out that no man is an island?
Yeah. This week on Moses Lake Survivor. Yeah.
Don't try to build fire out there. Please don't try to build fire.
You're surrounded by, yeah, you probably get a ticket. They'd be like, you burned down habitat. Yeah, they'd find something to get you on. Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, can you build a bridge to that? But I guess it's just leave it alone for right now.
That would be a low priority project
Yeah.
right there, is improving that park. There's other parks that we've got that are
Much easier access.
much easier access and would serve more people.
Yeah.
That one doesn't get a lot of traffic. I don't think I haven't done the numbers on it, but my guess would be it's very, very low.
So if I donated a dock to it and it got more use, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, that's it was just interesting. I was like, we got a park, and like, I don't know, what I get 2 people a year on the thing.
I've been here 3 years. I still have yet to set foot on it because I haven't gone out there myself with my kayak. I just haven't had time. So it's it's on my list before, hopefully this summer is my target to get out to Calvo. Well, looking at going out of Cascade Park and launching my kayak and seeing if I can get out there.
Get out there, yeah, yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I've voted by it. I just haven't. I'm just not familiar with who owns what, and so I think a lot of people don't know, so they just don't touch it.
Yeah.
And then it's probably all built up in marshy or
I would imagine
maybe marshy's not growth. And how do you get to it?
Yeah, there's not a lot of. We don't do. It's not like we load up a mower and get over there and mow it down.
You should. We should.
That would be a financial sustainability nightmare right there. Let's get the boat and the mower and drive over to Calvin and do a little mowing.
Yeah, interesting. There'd probably be some snake on there that's like protected or something.
Can you spell that?
Off the top of my head, no.
Calbo.
I believe it's Calbom.
Oh, so after Calvin and Swab.
I think there's 2 names for it, isn't it? Like Crest Island and something Park.
It's John K. Calvin Park or something.
Yeah, because Calvin and Swab. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Crest Island, I think, is what it's the island, and then the park's called something. Anyway, interesting. I was like, man, there's this island.
Yep.
Maybe, yeah. You guys want to sell it?
I don't know that there's any buyers.
On an island in Moses Lake.
It's an island in Moses Lake. I don't know that there'd be anybody interested in buying it.
Hunters? I don't know. It's too close.
It's pretty close. And I don't know what kind of wildlife would be out there other than bird.
Yeah, but I think there's some people that'll buy islands just to hunt on. They're like, house is this way. We'll aim towards the water feature.
How big is said island?
Oh, good Lord. How big is Calvin?
Did you look it up? He's got the answer.
I don't have the answer.
It looks like a couple acres big.
Yeah, it is not big.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it until the show, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't go in the water that much.
Are you tired of Moses Lake growing? You can own an island by yourself. We have a place for you.
Let's see. It's John E. Calvin Island Park.
Yeah, it's Crest Island or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Accessible only by boat. Don't have the acreage on here.
Oh, an idea for the community garden is rent it out to food trucks. I think that was kind of the idea with another lot right next to the city. But do you really want food trucks that close to City Hall? Is that
the people that work at City Hall want food trucks close to City Hall?
Well, we don't care about it. They should suffer like the rest of us. No. But yeah, that'd be, I don't know. Or put a couple on each side. Have you been to places that had like the food truck city? I think Hawaii has some.
There's one in Kennewick. I love going there when I'm there. There's so much variety.
Food truck craziness.
It's an option. It's something we've discussed and looking at Civic Park, and that might be it's already got paddle lined out there, so that might be a possible venue for that, activating that park more, giving that more of an identity. I honestly, that's what we're looking at with the whole redesign and the design process that we're starting community wide.
And if you can't do a food truck thing because of whatever rules and spacing and gas tanks, whatever, I mean, could you do something a similar size as brick and mortar that different businesses can come in? And make them kind of easy to.
Like a public-private partnership in that area. Probably could.
I have an answer for Crest Island. It's 1,060 square feet.
Small.
Yeah. Hey, you can put a 1 bedroom on there.
One bedroom. One bedroom shack, no power, no water, no sewer or
A
septic.
solar, you can put solar on there, but no sewer or septic.
No sewer or septic.
And do the composting toilet.
Yeah, composting toilet.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have your own community garden out there.
There, you could have your own. We could put the community garden out there. It would just be a lot bigger of a community together.
The community gardens on an island. Yeah. You have to bucket your own water to a water.
Exactly. Well, we could do lake irrigation. Oh wait, no, we can't. There's no power for a pump.
Yeah, the bucket. The little turn little. Anyway, some people might be into that.
It might be. It'd be tough to get there. Though.
No one will steal my tomatoes.
Yeah, no, and you're probably not going to get your tomatoes.
The tomato pirates game.
See people out there diverting water from one side of the island to the other.
I wonder if the water table is different, like the Atlantic Pacific Ocean, like that. Such a big island, yeah.
So,
Anyway, my randomness.
You what? You're random?
Yes, I'm so random. It's my ADD blessing and curse. You know. What else is going on?
I like the idea of a food truck little area. And I would definitely be very excited if Moses Lake did something like that. Because it brings in a lot of culture and a lot more taxes. Because, those people are going to more likely, since people are going there, it'll get the foot traffic so people can check out other trucks while they're there.
Roach Coach Plaza?
No.
no. You definitely don't. That's not good branding.
Definitely not good branding. We won't put Rick in charge of marketing.
No?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
No. I would say not. No, I think we're just, you ask what's happening. We're getting ready for summer. That's what we're doing. We're getting the pool up and ready. We got the fountain in Monday.
Yeah, so that's up and running.
Japanese gardens already open. We're low at parks. We got tournaments going on. We're doing a lot. So,
what is the least used park in Moses Lake?
John, the Calbum.
The second least used park. You got me there. I should have known the answer.
That's a tough question. I'm drilling down into that data now. We have a data system that we can use that will geographically look at a park and tell me how many are in there, how many people are coming to those parks. I would not be surprised if it was the community garden, just because that is a very specific purpose.
Yeah.
And very limited number of people have plots there because we have a very limited number of plots. That could be one of them, or it could be one of our neighborhood parks. And I'm excluding parks that have no development in them yet. So we have properties like Sun Terrace and Longview that have not yet been developed. They're just parks, but they're parks in name only. They have not had anything done to activate them, like a playground or a play feature or open area for anybody to do anything. So those I'm excluding because they get no traffic or very little traffic. But I would say it's probably one of our neighborhood parks or a community park. One of our smaller neighborhood parks would be lesser, but even our neighborhood parks are getting about 1,000 people a year.
Yeah. How do you quantify the value for that? You're like, 1,000 people use it. You're like, well, it should be 10,000. It's like, how do you quantify, I guess, the value? The part that I notice is when every time I drive by Frontier, you have a little park there, and I've seen like 5 people there in like a year. I'm sure there's more, but because it's just conditional when I'm passing by.
Correct. And you're generally passing by probably about the same time every day, right?
No, I'm pretty random.
Pretty random. Well, I can see being random.
Oh, right. I'm all over town, and I drive by, and every once in a while I'll see someone there, and I'll be like, car accident, like, whoa, there's people there.
Yeah, no, it gets. So you're talking about Allers Park.
I think so. It's right across from Frontier, and it's got the little concrete games.
Concrete games, the ping pong table, the cornhole toss, the beanbag toss.
Yeah.
And a couple other things there. It's probably, and I don't want to quote a number because it's not something that I can pull out of the top of my head, but it gets more usage than our smaller neighborhood parks like Gillette Park or Hayden Park. But those are designed to get lesser use. They're designed just to be for that neighborhood, whereas
Yeah.
ours is downtown. It does get usage. Most of its usage is probably coming in peak usage on things like Springfest. When Springfest has activity there, there's a ton of activity in that park.
Yeah, I've seen food
trucks
parked on it.
just people in that park after going to the car show or hanging out in that park and eating something or doing something unassociated with an event or a parade or something like that. It'll get that usage, and it does get higher usage than our neighborhood parks. But again, we're gonna look at all our parks as part of this whole financial sustainability and budgeting process going forward. Do we really need them? Do we really need all these properties? And I'm going to be the proponent saying, don't get rid of them.
Yeah.
Unless there's a specific reason to repurpose them for some other purpose.
Yeah, because buying them later,
Oh, you don't get them back.
you or buying something similar later,
Yeah.
it costs money. At the same time, I just off the little research I did, I was like, we have too many per capita per person. I wasn't smart enough to figure out my acreage needed, but it was like 2,200 to 2,400 people for every park is what I saw on the internet. Now, I don't know if the internet's true or not. And I was like, oh, we need about 13 parks. We got about 28. Like, we have room to consolidate, keep some for sure for the future. Or you have some that are just undeveloped and you go, we'll just ignore those until.
Speaking of undeveloped, just I got to correct myself. Crest Island is not 1,060 square feet.
Okay.
That's the elevation. It's and it's 1 to 3 acres. It says.
Yeah.
It sounds about.
Yeah.
1 to 3.
Compared to the 6,800 acres of Moses Lake, so.
Yeah.
So talking about
Put an apartment complex on that.
Or a hotel.
Hotel, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Only by boat.
Only by boat. You can only get there by.
The plan.
There you go.
Oh.
Fantasy Island.
You could rename it Fantasy Island Park.
Fantasy Island Park. Change it completely.
Yeah, we're looking for sponsors for the island.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't think we could probably get any little people to volunteer to play.
Be playing. That'd probably be some type of discrimination. Yeah, somehow you get in trouble.
Hopefully, I said the term correctly.
Little people. Close enough. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Parks and Recreation.
Reducing the number of acres. We're currently at about 13 acres per 1,000 people. Our national association recommends about, for our size of community, about 9.8 acres per 1,000. So we're above that, but that includes undeveloped. So we have to look at, and then the other measure we use, and that's also a nationally accepted standard, is a half-mile walk to a park from any residence. So you want to have a park within a half-mile walk of your house. And that allows moms, dads, grandparents to take kids to a park and not have to get in their car. So those two standards are what we use as measures. And we might have some parks that don't meet or take us above that because we are at about 13 acres. But again, a lot of that is undeveloped land.
Let me ask you a question about that. We have one dog park in town.
Correct.
Any plans on upgrading or doing any new development there?
Any plans? No active plans at this point in time, but we are currently in our planning process. So we do a Parks, Recreation, Open Space plan every 5 years. And I'm currently in that process right now. And there's community outreach on that, getting feedback from the community as to what do you want in your parks? What should we be doing next? What's our next priority? So, our financial sustainability plan is going to inform a little bit of that. Where are we going? What's our next direction? But we'll talk to the community about what goes into our parks and what we should have versus what we do have and what's our plan for getting.
So here's an odd question. So since COVID, Amazon, DoorDash, kind of this new phase we're into, have you seen park use go down in, I guess, recent years? Or is that something
It went way down during COVID. Our programs went almost down to nothing. But since COVID, I've actually seen it start coming back. Tournament wise, we're seeing more tournaments this year than we did prior years. I think we had about 12 tournaments past 2 years, and this year we're sitting at 16 tournaments scheduled. So we're seeing increases. We're seeing that climb back up. It takes a while to rebuild after you have a shutdown for a while. If we shut down a facility for a year, it takes a while to rebuild that attendance.
Yeah. So, and then the rec center kind of came in kind of the COVID time, didn't it?
It was after. It was constructed right before I got here in 23. I got here in 23 in February, and I think they finished construction around 20.
And I saw they got a new Facebook page.
Yeah, new Facebook page.
Starting to do a little marketing and pushing things out.
Yeah, and we've been doing marketing, just not based on facility. We have our own recreation page. We also have a museum page that we market through. We just had not done a specific page for the rec center or certain slide on a specific page for shirts.
Yeah, I see Surf Slide get marketed. Probably the mostest.
Yeah.
But the other stuff I don't really see too much. Now, the BMX track, is that considered a park or a park?
Correct. Yeah, that's part of
Okay,
it.
but that's kind of specific to a community though too, right?
Yeah, and we do have a group that we work with, Moses Lake BMX. They do a great job. They help us maintain that, and they do improvements on it. The volunteer hours they put in are huge. They're a great organization.
Yeah. And then, well, you have a hockey team,
RC Park too.
RC Park.
RC Park right behind that. We have the hockey rink, or the ice rink that we have Moses Lake Youth Hockey that works with us on. And they do a great job of finding hockey for the limited time because our ice rink is covered,
Yeah.
but outdoor. It doesn't have walls, so it only operates like November through February into March. That's hot.
It was the last show that it was the first we found out that it's a skating rink during the summer.
It has been a roller rink in the summer, but because of budgetary constraints this year, even before we got into financial sustainability, it was not worth opening. So we are only opening event based now. So if somebody wants to rent it, they can call us and we'll work out a deal on renting it because we don't want to staff it and have 10 people show up for a roller rink skate.
Yeah. I think I've made a few phone calls to inquire about doing like an event. I was looking for a venue for a concert.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I talked to the rec center, and either they said they couldn't do it, or they're like, "That's $5,000." And I was like, "Bye." I was like,
Yep.
"You're like, yeah, that's not a fun price. Bye." And I don't know if that's just city staff, whatever. But it seems like there's a lot of things community wise that could be done. I was thinking like if someone wanted to do a youth dance for 14 to 18 high school kids,
Okay.
to do something like that once a quarter, or offset it from the school dances,
Mm-hmm.
like, would that be possible at the rec center?
The gym would not be usable for that because we don't want kids out there in their shoes that are going to scuff the floor or damage the floor. So we couldn't use the gym for that. And our multi-purpose rooms are pretty small for that kind of an activity.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know that I'd recommend the rec center for that. And at times of the year, I mean, could you use the ice rink floor? When it's not an ice rink, you could, but then you're outside. You're not protected from the elements. If it's a nasty day out there, wind's blowing up the yard, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
So
You'd be hot and sweating, or cold and freezing,
I know that I've personally been involved in
or slip on ice.
reserving and using Centennial Amphitheater
Mm-hmm.
as well as Blue Heron Park.
Yeah,
We do events there regularly within the church community.
yeah.
And I've always enjoyed working with the city because they help us know where to put stakes and
Yep.
watering cycles and all that. Because that's important. When you're setting up a big tent, you don't want to get all your equipment wet.
Had my steak medium rare.
Wrong steak. We're talking tent stakes.
Yeah. Yeah, for like a gathering of that nature, I think those outdoor things would be fine. But if you're doing like a dance, you'd be charging $5-10 for the
You actually are. You can't charge an admission at a park event, right?
You could charge an admission.
But you have to gate off the whole place. Or
You have to gate it off in a park.
And that price would just be like kill the deal.
It would kill the deal.
it does, because renting all the fencing for it is what kills the deal.
Well, and then you have to then secure it yourself.
Yeah.
So you're almost
Security,
forced to go to the fairgrounds and work with them, but they have a bunch of rules too.
Well, they're just county government.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing that we talked about earlier. We have to follow all the rules too, so we have to put those on people that come to us.
You remember though, Rick, when we were working on doing those concerts, the fairground said they won't do private events anymore for that.
It was something like that they don't do private events.
Concerts, yeah.
So it's like I was like, well, scrap that. I was looking at a piece of property between here and Ephrata. I was like, there's a bunch of dirt, gravel. I don't care about the noise. It was a concept, but the whole concept was to build like a
piggyback off of
a mini gorge.
Yeah.
What could hold 5,000 people and do a mini small concert, and then every year, like the gorge does, you add like one little amenity every year.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
We spent several months working on that, Rick and I, and it just ended up being a dead end.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
all the red tape and.
Yeah, so it's like doing it because I can't compete with Springfest getting LTAC funding and throwing in, hey, Vanilla Ice is here, like they got tourism funding. I'm like, I have to come out of pocket for this, so it was just kind of like, right, they're not fencing off the thing; it's all free, it's whatever. So outside of that, there's really not any place really friendly towards that. Maybe you can find a farmer that'll let you hey, but
going back to the whole Woodstock.
yeah. I'm like, you really want to drive out to the boonies? Maybe not. There's something I was toying around with because I was doing small bands here, but I was like, what if we got someone bigger?
Yeah.
Well, my occupancy only allows so much, so it doesn't pencil to bring in a big place.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I was trying.
We're paying $15,000 to get them here. We can only have 110 in the building.
Yeah, I was like, who wants to pay?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I was trying to find a way to advance on that, but
you're running into what we run into a lot when we're doing programming as well with any kind of recreational or arts type thing. It's like, how do we make this work? And to look at charging for a concert in the park. Like, how do you do that? Well, you have to put up fences, and then you have to do all these other things and control that. And you have to have security, so your costs just start adding and adding, and that's what we're running into, right? That's what we're all running into with it. It's trying to program this stuff, trying to do these things for the community. How do we continue to do that? That's our battle.
We're gonna do it on the island.
Yeah,
do it on the island,
Crest Island. You pay a ticket, boat takes you over. We're good.
Yeah.
Bring your own power.
Bring your own power.
YOP.
And water.
Generator, water.
Bathroom, porta johns,
all of that.
Too much of a headache. All right, Doug. I appreciate your time coming in and clarifying a few things for us because I think the budget crisis has a lot of people confused.
How can we find you?
How can you find me? Whistle really loud. I'm currently my phone number. I think my phone number and my email are posted on our website.
What I mean by you is Parks and Rec.
Well, how can you find Parks and Rec? Larson Rec Center is 610 West Yakima. That's right by the Larson Playfield. That's our main office right now. So you can reach us there. All of our programs are posted also on our website, City of Moses Lake website. Just go to the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Services page, and you'll find all our stuff over there.
Very good. And just to say one more time, they're not shutting anything down.
That's right.
They're working on some new avenues, and
the goal is to keep everything going. And we don't know what's happening tomorrow, but that's our target right now. We don't know what's happening next year or the year after. We can't speak to that. We're going to do our best, and our best is from the beginnings. See what we can do.
All right. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
All right. We're shutting this down. Thanks for watching, folks. We're signing out. Thank you.